Are you ready to unlock your full potential and maximize your productivity? Look no further than Productivity Smarts, the ultimate audio podcast hosted by renowned productivity expert Gerald J. Leonard. In every episode, Gerald shares captivating stories, invaluable tips, and cutting-edge strategies that will transform the way you approach productivity. Whether you're looking to reduce stress, overcome overwhelm, or simply get more done in less time, Productivity Smarts has got you covered. But that's not all. You'll also gain inspiration from real-life success stories of individuals who have achieved greatness through productivity. Plus, you'll learn the latest tools, techniques, and habits that will help you achieve a new level of happiness and fulfillment in your personal and professional life. So why wait? Join us every week as we delve into the exciting world of productivity and help you unleash your full potential. Get ready to take your productivity to the next level with Productivity Smarts. As a productivity expert and host of the Productivity Smarts podcast, Gerald J. Leonard has been a proud supporter of Kiva since 2011. Kiva is a non-profit organization that helps entrepreneurs in third world countries access the capital they need to start or grow their businesses. By making a small loan through Kiva, you can help these entrepreneurs achieve their dreams, support their families, and contribute to their local economies. And with a repayment rate of over 96%, your loan can be relent to another entrepreneur once it's repaid, creating a ripple effect of positive change. So if you're looking for a meaningful way to make a difference in the world, consider making a loan through Kiva. With loans as small as $25, anyone can be a microlender and help change lives. Visit kiva.org to learn more and start lending today.
Well, today I have with me Cindy Wageman. She is a speaker, coach, and bestselling author who went through a personal healing journey from multiple sclerosis, has inspired thousands to reclaim their health, their hope, and their purpose. And she's the author of the book, Completely Healed, Reclaiming Health and Wholeness. Cindy, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you
Excellent.
for asking.
No problem. Excellent. As we get started here, I always ask this favorite question of mine. What's your favorite style of music?
Actually, it's classical music.
Okay. Tell me more.
And I guess my favorite would be, I love them all, okay? And I probably don't have a favorite really, but I like Brahms and Beethoven, and I guess Bach is really neat. And yeah, I love it. I love
Excellent.
it.
Excellent. Well, I studied classical music. That was my bachelor's and my master's. I studied classical and
Okay.
jazz, and I played in orchestras. I played in the Springfield Symphony Orchestra. I subbed for the Cincinnati Ballet. When I was in Cincinnati, I
Oh,
had a chance to play at
wow.
Carnegie Hall. So I've worked as a professional musician earlier in my life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I still play music, and most of my books are about music and business. So that's why I always ask the question, because
Okay.
I think it kind
Yes,
of,
I love it.
adds a little humanity to the conversation.
Yes, right.
Well, listen, tell me about your background and what has helped you. What do you think is the one thing that's helped you become successful, even as an author, throughout your life, as a coach and a speaker? And obviously, we'll go into talk about your journey of healing. But what's that one thing about you that's helped you get through this journey?
I'm a very determined person.
That's always very helpful.
Yes, it is. Very helpful. I feel that I've always been that determined person, and things that we go through in life, things get us down, but we just have to be determined to come right back up
Okay.
and try to figure it out. Try
Yeah.
to figure it out.
Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest things is when life happens to you, at first it's a shock. It's like someone throwing a bucket of cold water in your face.
Yes.
But then you have to stop and go, okay, am I just going to stay here, or am I going to
Yes.
figure this thing out? Is it going to be easy? Probably not. But I got to figure it out. And then you move forward.
Yes, that's right.
So excellent.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, listen, I want to jump into talking about your book, Completely Healed,
Mhm.
because obviously you went through a journey. I've actually known a couple of people who came down with multiple sclerosis. And in fact, the husband had it and he got married. The wife didn't have
Yes.
it. And then later on, she got it, which I thought was really interesting,
Oh, that is.
because
Yes.
it's not contagious, but I think it's more of a mindset and the
Oh,
energy.
you've got
And
it.
that's what I want to talk about here. So
You got it.
when you were first diagnosed with MS, I
Mhm.
think it's around age 24, how did
Yes.
your mindset adapt? And what role did the adaptation play in the healing journey? Like, how did you have to go through a mind shift and a mindset adoption process?
Wow. It wasn't just overnight that this
Yes.
happened. It took time,
Yep.
and it took the first thing that I did was I'm a Christian, and during that time, I turned to God. I mean, I really
Okay.
turned to there was nobody else that could help me. So what I did is I asked God, "What can I do here? Because I do not wanna stay where I'm at because I can't even walk." I had 2 little girls. I was very ill, and so through it, I learned that from my childhood, I became a pleaser. I was a pleaser, and I thought that it was my job to fix everyone and to that was my job in life. So I had to learn through all of that, through all of the experience that I went through, that I needed to find myself. Pleasers lose themselves.
Yeah,
They do. They lose themselves.
because they're so focused on everybody else.
Yes. And so that was a journey. And people would say things to me, and I had to learn to think for myself and not, I was only 24 years old. So I had a lot to learn. And that's been a lot of years ago. That's been 40 years ago. Okay. When I started that journey. So over a period of a lifetime, I have learned a lot
Yes.
of things. Mhm.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, listen, trauma is often unseen, right? Because a lot of times
Yes.
when things like that happen, people may
Right.
see us as like we started talking earlier before we started recording that I had gone through this a vertigo situation in 2018, and when it happened, it was physically obvious that something happened to me, right? Because I had the
Right.
walker. When I finally got to the point where I could walk,
Oh,
I was very steady, and so on.
yeah.
And so, but
Yes.
sometimes trauma happens and it's not seen, and so people don't know that you're going through something really difficult.
Yes.
What
Right.
practices helped you recognize and address past trauma in order to reclaim your health? Like, how did you do that?
What I did, I decided that I was going to not listen to anyone else,
Okay.
but start listening to myself and my intuition and the voice inside of me, which I feel was God, but he
Yep.
was helping me along. But I had to listen to myself too. I had to listen to what I had been created to be because I was created for a purpose. And I had lost that. Sometimes we get off on the sidelines and we forget who we are created to be, and something happens to us. They can be small
Yep.
traumas or they can be big traumas. They can be small things that happen in our childhood that we don't think of them as being traumas, but they are. They're traumatic to us because they make our mindsets in a way that is very unhealthy.
Yeah.
And our mind and our bodies are very closely connected.
Yes.
What our brains tell our bodies respond. I started learning that through experiences. It wasn't overnight, it was through experiences. And like I said, it has been a lifetime of it.
Right.
And
Is there one experience that stands out to you?
in my book, I tell of experience of, and I never really thought of it being because I just had heard of it. But here I was 2 years old and my mom lost a baby.
Okay.
And my sister and I were in the house, and this story's in my book,
Yep.
where I was in the house and it was during that time that the doctor came to our home, and my sister was 4 years old, so she remembers all of it.
Right.
So she has told me what I was doing during that time because the doctor came, put the needle in the baby's heart, and my parents were horrified, okay? And I saw my parents that they were so horrified, and they would be. We would all be horrified about what was happening.
Okay.
And so my sister and I've been very thankful to have an older sister
Yeah.
that her and I can talk about this. And so I have asked her, what was I doing? She said, you were doing what you have always done. You were standing in the corner with your hands in your mouth and just contemplating on what was going on. And I was terrified. And I truly believe that that had an impact because it's had an impact on my sister and I both
Yeah.
because we have talked about it and how we have been people that we have maybe drawn back from different things in our lives that we should have faced them head on,
Okay.
and it really affected us.
Right. Yeah. When you go through trauma, even as a young child,
Yeah.
those things get recorded in our minds, right? Our
Yes,
conscious, our subconscious,
definitely.
our
Yes.
non-conscious, but they also get recorded in our bodies. And that's one of the things that I
Right.
discovered as I was going through my journey of healing was that there was stressors that I had experienced early in life and at different times in my life
Yes.
that my body had not processed out.
Yes.
And so it's kind of like I always kinda think of it like a big wet towel. Like a towel
Okay.
that's dry
Okay.
it has a lot of utility, right? You can use it and
Yes.
but once a towel gets soaking wet,
Yes.
there's really not much you can do with it
No.
except wring it out and
Yeah.
dry it. But if you don't ever wring it out and dry it, it just becomes this lump of
It does.
material that really no very little utility, right? Except maybe wash your
Wow.
car or something.
Good
And I
metaphor.
think our bodies can go through the same process when we're not one, we don't know how to process out trauma and stress, and then two, when we are going through something and we're not on a regular basis processing out that trauma and
Yes.
stress, whether it's through talk therapy
Yes.
or through yoga, meditation, journaling, and so on, where you are naming the issue that you're going through and facing it and working through that process and gaining that perspective, it
Exactly.
it can embed itself in our lives, and then
Yes.
it becomes like a guardrail that our lives are being channeled or directed by the trauma that we've gone through more than by our intuition and our ability to live.
Yes. Exactly. I believe that. It affects every cell in our body.
Yes. Yes. Now, stress also is very inevitable, right? How did you shift your daily habits to reduce the impact on your mind and body? Because obviously you went through a journey to get healed. And so let's
Yes.
start talking a little bit about that. What were some of the things that you were doing or that you've discovered that you had to
Yeah.
do on a regular basis to get you to that
Mhm.
point where one day the doctor could say, hey, that MS stuff that you had, you don't have it anymore.
Yeah, right? Well, I was young, and my husband and I went to a place called Total Health Foundation,
Okay.
which we went together, and our marriage hadn't been really good. He'd been working away from home,
Right.
and I had been dealing with the kids myself, and had been very stressful for me. But I had been the type of person, I thought I could do anything in life. I just went forward, kept going forward, and kept going forward. Being exhausted, my youngest child had everything in the world. She just had everything. And so I didn't get the sleep that I needed. And I was a person that I really required a lot of sleep. So my husband and I went to the Total Health Foundation.
Okay.
We had marriage counseling there. Really, it just helped us to get on kind of a right journey on the same page so that we could start praying together, start on the same journey together, which he and I both, we got on the same page together. But I never realized the stress that was coming about. And so when we went to Total Health Foundation, I learned about the 8 laws of health. And when I learned about the 8 laws of health, it was breathing fresh air, it was getting the rest that you need, it was the exercise, it was nutrition, it was trusting in God and sunshine and balance in life. And I learned all of these things that I needed to do. So I went home with a recipe book and
Okay.
I thought I would be cured. Okay. So I was and I'm a perfectionist. So I did everything perfectly, my poor family. So anyway, it even brought more stress on my life, actually. So I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to just do this thing so that no one even knows that I'm sick. Because
Right.
I didn't want anyone to even know that I was sick because I was supposed to live in this perfect world. And anyway, it came to a point, I think it was 5 years. I did get somewhat better, but it was like 5 years. And I had reached the point where I just couldn't do it any longer. So I had this total conversation with God. And God was like, "What, are you kidding me? Where did your joy go? You're doing all of these things. Where did your joy go? He said, you are totally stressed out. And I think that was the point that I realized that I was totally stressed out because during that time in the 80s,
Okay.
there wasn't internet. You just didn't have, there wasn't, information was not there.
Oh,
I had to
Encyclopedia
go
Britannica.
I had to go find it. Yes, I had to go find it. And so I was looking and I found that stress was a major thing.
Yeah.
And I also started searching and really searching again. And I ran on to a doctor because I went to some meetings. I went to a seminar that was not in my hometown, but I went to a seminar that there was a doctor there that had been doing some extraordinary research.
Okay.
And in that extraordinary research, in the early 80s, he was teaching about epigenetics
Oh, wow. Okay.
and healing your genes.
Right.
Because through life, we damage our genes
And
and they're
it was
expressed.
Dawson Church? Dr. Dawson Church?
No, who it
Okay.
was Dr. Sang Lee
Okay.
from Weimar Institute.
Okay.
And he had been doing some research. In fact, when he went there and was giving seminars, he was giving seminars all over the United States to people that would listen. And
Sure.
it was such a new concept at that time that I bought his cassette tapes, took them home, and listened to them over and over again, trying to get the concept. Because back then you were taught that you couldn't change your genes. And he was taught in medical school you couldn't change your genes. But here he was teaching that you could change your genes. And so I grabbed onto that. It was the first really piece of light that was huge light for me.
Yeah.
That I felt that was truth. That was truth. And he was teaching beauty, truth, and freedom
Okay. Okay.
and love.
The epigenetics part is something that entered my journey as well.
Okay.
And Dr.
Okay.
Dawson Church has written a number of
Okay.
books on epigenetics. And the
Okay.
concept is that our genes don't necessarily change. It's just that our environment, our mental, our physical, our social, our emotional environments turn on
Yes, there
genes
you go.
or turns off genes.
Yes.
And so if we're in a negative situation, we could be finding ourselves where genes that are focused on bringing in disease or multiple
Yes.
sclerosis or vertigo
Yes.
or, some other illness, stress, stressors, and so on, they actually get turned on because of your physical environment, your relational environment, your emotional
Exactly.
environment, and so on. But in the same way, you can have someone
Yes.
who has, like yourself and what I went through, which is you have this ailment that you come down with that you're like, "Where does this come from and why do I have it? No one else in my family has it." And then you
Yeah.
find yourself in that place, and then you learn that I have to change my environment, I
Yes.
have to change my language, I have to change my
Yes.
relationships, I have to
Yes.
change the stressors in my life, I have to change my habits, and when I do that, over time, I turn off the genes that are leading me towards disease, and I turn on the genes that are leading me towards health.
Exactly. Gerald, that was very, very good description of it all. Very easy to understand. I love it.
Excellent, because I lived it. It's just like you lived it, right?
Uh-huh.
When you have lived something and you studied it and you go, "Okay." And so one of my daily practices is constantly looking at my life and my stressors and going, "What is this turning on or off?"
Yes.
Am I creating an environment in my home, in my marriage, with my family, with my friends, mentally? Am I putting myself in a place where I'm turning on the right genes and
Yes.
keeping the bad genes turned off?
Mhm.
Because we
Yes.
all have the ability to get cancer, to get multiple sclerosis, any of those
Yes.
diseases out there,
Exactly.
any of us can get them.
Exactly. I agree with that totally. I think there's red flags that come up because
Yeah,
this last weekend I was at a conference and I was marketing my book and and I didn't get enough sleep because it was over the weekend. I didn't get
right.
enough sleep. It was rather stressful And not that I wasn't excited about it, but there is a certain amount of stress that goes along with it. I caught a virus, and I'm sure you can tell by the way I'm talking that I caught a virus. So to me, what I do when I do that is I say, okay, that is a red flag. What needs to change? What
Right.
needs to change in my life? So I think it's being very in tune with your body
Yeah.
and what's going on and what is causing maybe a low immune system that we need to build up our immune systems.
I was talking with someone earlier and they said that an illness is like a signal. It's like a big red signal, but also our emotional states are signs. Right?
Yes,
Um, you know,
right?
a sign that something's coming up. Because if you're emotionally you're not happy, you're not content, or you're feeling a certain way, you're feeling a little stressed, that's a sign.
Yes,
It's not so much a symptom right now, it's more of a sign. But when you
yes,
get sick, when you come back, because that's happened to me before. I've gone on a trip and
yeah,
networking marketing thing, went to
yes,
the trip, I came back, and I had another trip to go to, which I got home, and I was like, "I can't go to this other trip," because I came back with a cold or something going on, and I'm
right.
like, "You know what? I need to chill. I don't need to go even though I wanna go to this other trip, I need to chill out and take care of myself and put myself back in a peaceful, loving,
Yes,
supportive environment so that my body can respond and I can heal through this." And I definitely didn't take
exactly.
meds. I just needed to recover.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
exactly where I was.
especially right now, in not just in the US States, but I think it's around the world, there's a lot of turmoil, there's a lot of compatibility, or not compatibility, but combatant.
Yes,
Trying to find the right word for that. But you get what I'm saying, is there's a lot of turmoil and discord and death and so on, and we can get caught up even if we're just in the, let's say, sidelines listening to it, right? You hear a little bit on the news, or you hear a little bit of commentary, or someone says, "Hey, did you see that Facebook post?" And next thing you know, you're feeling stressed out, you're feeling
yes,
emotionally, you're feeling like,
yes,
"What in the world's going on in my world and in my
yes,
my life and my town and my country or whatever." And
right.
again, those are signals that can
Yes,
are s yeah, signals that can really turn into symptoms
yes.
that can say, "Hey, you need to really think about your environment, what you're listening to, what you're taking in."
I agree with that because those things can really stress us out. And I have found that when I start doing that or getting tense, I have found, we each of us have to find out what works for us.
Right,
And it's an experiment because we're all different, but
right,
we have to find out what really works for us. And what helps me with that is I tell myself, I don't have any control. And sometimes I just look at the headlines. I don't even go into the story much because I don't want to get stressed out.
yeah,
But what I say, I only have control over what I can control
yes,
and my community. I can be involved in my community with my neighbors, with my family, and give them all the love that I can. But I cannot, there is so much out there that comes at us every day.
yes,
And we need to really regulate that
right,
because we can stress ourselves out in a
right,
huge way.
right. When you're under stress and you are just taking in that stress, again, think of the big wet towel, right? Life
Yes.
becomes a big
Yes.
blob, right? And it feels very
Yes.
heavy and weighted,
Yes.
where you really have to be careful of what you allow in, whether it's
Yes.
just, again, a television show, the news channel, the social media post, or whatever. All of
Yes.
that can create an energy that really throws us off. And again, it's creating an environment.
I agree.
And so if you think of the laws of epigenetics, it's creating that environment. And so you have to ask yourself, is this environment that I'm around right now that's being created,
Yes.
is it going to help me turn on the right genes and keep the bad ones away? And is it creating more stress in my life than not? For
Yeah.
listeners who they have to balance their career with, creative work, or let's say demanding career, what's a small, consistent choice that you made during your journey that helped you on your road to wellness and resilience as you went through this process?
Well, one of the big things is I'm a relationship person.
Okay.
So I'm going to talk about relationships right now because some people don't have as much issue with the relationships because they do very well with turning it off, turning relationships off. Well, I'm a huge relationship person, and through my life, I have found that there are very toxic people. Like I said in the past, I wanted to help everyone. I wanted to fix everyone, and I found out that I can't. And so I've had to give that up and I've had to let go. I've had to let go. And one of those things is not as well, really looking at the situations in our lives and seeing the toxic people. And even if you're working in certain situations, you may have to get out of
Right.
that type of work. You may have to even change your job if
Right.
there's people there that are toxic because it will not end well. It just will not end well.
Right.
And there's ways of learning to deal with that too, because you can gray rock people. You can just be there, but not be emotionally involved.
Is that what you mean by gray rock?
Yes, there is a term in psychology called gray rock, and it's really just being a gray rock and
Right.
just sitting there and not being emotionally involved at all.
Right. My wife calls it being a Walmart greeter.
Okay, all right. That is really good. That's a
Because
really
you're not gonna
good.
be nasty, you're not gonna be mean, but you just go,
Oh,
"Hi, how are you? Good, okay, nice to see
there
you,
you go.
bye-bye," keep going,
Yes,
you go do your shopping, move on with your
yes,
life, but you're
yes,
not gonna stop here, so, sometimes you turn into a Walmart greeter when things
yes,
are really, really difficult, and you're trying to figure out how to keep things moving forward.
yes. Oh, it's a very good metaphor. Love that.
Well, listen, looking back, what one insight from your experience do you wish you had known earlier, especially for professionals or creators aiming to avoid burnout or chronic
Mm.
illness?
I'm gonna speak from a mother for a
Okay.
moment. As we all journey in life, we all learn, and we're not gonna know everything right away. I think that one of the things that really has affected me through in this journey was when I had a multiple sclerosis was my children. I had
Yeah.
babies, I had little kids,
Yeah.
and I didn't tell them what was going on. I thought I could keep it from them. And as they went through, and it took me like 10 years, I had to learn a lot of things to get completely well. And so my girls helped me. They helped me with everything. And when I was, so it went a period of time where I was really tired of being sick. After I was well, I didn't even want to talk about it. At the first, I did tell people and I spoke different places, but I got tired of it being my identity.
Yeah.
So what I did was I just went and I went back to work. And I had a wonderful life because when you've been ill and you've learned these positive things about life and you love life, you get a love for life because you've been spared of this illness. So I didn't mention it. And I went through, what would I say, 10 years, another 10 years of not being sick. And my daughter, her and her husband pastor a church.
Okay.
And they were gonna give testimonies, and she said, "Mom, can I give your testimony of when your MS affected our family?" I was astonished. I was just astonished. I thought, "That didn't affect our family. How did that affect our family?" But because my girl, I could see it did affect her, that
Right.
she was saying, yes, it did affect her. So she got up to tell the story, and when she got up to tell the story, she wore a blue dress with little flowers on it, and she has this long hair, and she looked like she was 8 years old to me. And she told the story, and you know what I told myself? This is true. This all happened. This all happened. I ran out of the room. I was crying, ran out of the room, and I asked God, "Why am I crying?" And he said, "Cindy, this is your story. You need to tell other people about it. You need to tell other people about your story to help them."
Right.
So that's why I became a life and relationship coach. And I decided then that I was going to help people to move through their bumps in life so that they could learn tools. And so, yeah, and that they would tell their children
Yeah.
that they would tell their children about who they are and what they're going through, that
Right.
you could do it together, that
Right.
you could do this together. So I think that is, I'm not sure I answered your question.
No, you did.
Okay. But I think that is my biggest thing that
Yeah.
I wish that I had known back
Yeah.
then.
I think whenever you're going through something that's really difficult, and especially when it's a physical ailment, even if it's not where you're restricted from walking, but you have some form of illness or something that you're working through that's really difficult for you, and you're in a family environment, it affects everyone, right?
Oh,
Because
yes.
you're not going, you can't be the person that you used to be that they've
No,
been relying on,
no.
because you're going through what you're going through. And
Yes.
I think by being, learning the journey and learning the process about being open and being real,
Yes.
and then being able to take that on and help other people is a great service
Yes.
to humanity and to others, to say, hey, when you're going through something, let the people
Yes.
that you care about and that you live with that are close to you know what you're going through. Don't put it on them, but let them be a part of the journey with you, because they're gonna go through a healing or a process. They're gonna
Yes.
learn, they're gonna see it. But if you don't, then there's gonna be things and drama and challenges that they're gonna see and experience, and they're not gonna know
Yes.
how to process it.
I agree.
They're
I
not
agree.
gonna know how to process it.
The beautiful part about that is over a lifetime, you learn these things that maybe you didn't get when you were young or
Right,
whatever happens when you go through those processes. But I have worked this out with my daughters, and my oldest daughter even became a therapist so that she could help other families that were going through the same thing.
right.
So it all comes back around to
Yeah,
be good,
yeah,
light when you go forward and you're trying to figure it out. It's
excellent,
taking responsibility and going forward and trying to figure out what's going on.
excellent. Well, Cindy, where can people learn more about you, about your coaching, your speaking, and, get in touch with you and also purchase your book?
Okay, I have a website, cindywageman.com. I'm on Facebook. I don't know if you've seen me on Facebook, but I have some Facebook stuff going on that I'm trying to encourage people. I'm on Instagram, and also my book. I am really sorry, but I gave you the wrong, because I gave you the book cover that I originally was going to have, but I did change it. So I just don't want you to give everyone the wrong book cover, because I want people to buy this. I want
Yes.
people to buy my book.
Yeah,
And so
I have that cover because I bought the book I bought the Kindle and
okay,
then read it,
okay.
and, in preparation for our conversation.
And it's got my picture on the front,
Yes,
and and so it's completely healed, how understanding the link between trauma, stress, and autoimmune disease helped me get my life back.
gotcha, so it did change the
Yes.
subtitle a little bit.
Yes, I did. I changed the subtitle because trauma needed to be in there, because trauma has huge effect on our lives.
Yes, it does. Yes, it
Mhm.
does.
It does.
Well, Cindy, thank you so much for sharing your story, sharing your journey, being open with us about what you've gone through, and being an example of someone who was diagnosed with, multiple sclerosis, which is a very serious disease,
Yes, it
and
is.
that really a lot of people don't overcome because they haven't developed those habits or the muscles or the mindset to be able to
Yes,
process through that, to
I
realize
agree.
that the healing starts from within.
Yes.
And thank you so much for sharing that with us. And my production team will definitely make sure it's all in the notes there and directing people to the right
Okay.
place for your book and with the right
Thank you.
website. And so it's been a pleasure talking with you and having this conversation.
Thank you so much for inviting me on. I've enjoyed it very much, Gerald. Thank you.
Excellent. If you're enjoying the content and finding it valuable, we would appreciate it if you could take a moment and leave us a review. Your feedback is important to us and helps us reach a wider audience. If you leave us a 5-star review, it would mean the world to us. Not only does it help us improve the podcast, but it also helps us attract more sponsors and grow our community. Thank you again for your support and for listening to the Productivity Smarts podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to Productivity Smarts, where we help you achieve your goals and live your best life. We hope you've gained valuable insights and actionable strategies to boost your productivity and increase your happiness and fulfillment. Remember to apply what you've learned and keep striving towards your goals. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our podcast for more inspiring episodes and expert advice from our host, Gerald J. Leonard. Until next time, keep pushing forward and unleashing your productivity smarts.